Hey everyone, today is November 2nd, 2019. So I thought I'd talk about tomorrow since we have like thousands of people talking about a possibility of a devastation in Seattle, a space needle falling, a tsunami, a nuclear explosion. Um, but the way I see it, um, if you look at the stock market, we're at all-time highs, and before 9/11, there was definitely signs in the markets that something was possible. Right now, I don't see that. So that's kind of how I feel about tomorrow. I based on the market, because the elite, if they really plan these events, they also manipulate the market and they're going to sell some of their stocks. Um, So I don't see any of that right now, but we'll see. But that's kind of my feeling about that. But when I looked into November 3rd a little bit closer, I did see more connections to blackouts, and so I thought I'd cover that. And I've made a few successful predictions about blackouts. One being in Hawaii, and others that I just mentioned a couple days that were connected to U.S. Cyber Command and in July, and they also had blackouts at California and Washington D.C. I think, but and once again, we do have a connection to U.S. Cyber Command for tomorrow. So we have 10 years and 19 weeks to 11/3, and that number 11/3 is probably significant. That's why Fukushima was on 3/11, 2011. So, which was also, oops, this was the date the Georgia Guidestones was founded on 3/22/1980. And it was 11,311 days from 3/11/11, which this is how you would write it over in Japan. This is how you would write the date. So, anyways, getting back to the blackout subject, now I already showed you guys that the foundation was connected to tomorrow. But this date is also as well. August 18th, 2017 was announced that U.S. Cyber Command would be elevated the full status of full and independent unified combat command. So you take August 18th to 11/3, I mean. And if you include the end date, we have a 322 code. And also if you reverse it, we have 653 days. 653, I already put it in here, is the 119th prime, which is 9/11 backwards. Now, another interesting fact. Looking at the three largest blackouts of this year. The largest was actually, if you didn't know, in Indonesia. 120 million people were affected on August 4th. So, going to August 4th, it is on the Hebrew date of Av, the 3rd of Av. And this marks two different calendar dates because there's the biblical Hebrew date and the current civil calendar that they use. So the biblical one would start the first month on Nisan or Nisan. This would be the 5th month. But in their current calendar, this is the 11th month, as Elul is their 12th month. So that was on 11/3 was the largest blackout of this year. And here we are at 11:03. Well, tomorrow it will be. So now, oops, what am I doing? Now looking at this Venezuela blackout on March 7th. This is 12:30 on the Hebrew calendar. Going by their biblical year, there's 13 months. And I have a lot of things for 12:30. That's one of my big dates in December. Remember I made a video talking about December. I didn't mention any dates, but 12:30 is one of my big dates. And it does connect to U.S. Cyber Command, which is 10 years and 190 days. We have a 9/11 connection to 12:30. So I thought that was interesting. We had the two biggest blackouts this year. You look at the Hebrew calendar, and then you can convert those Hebrew calendar dates to the Gregorian, and it connects to the U.S. Cyber Command. Now the second largest blackout in Argentina, in South America, on June 16th, 2019. When you look at that in the Hebrew calendar, that is 3:13 or 9:13. Well, the 9:13 really stands out. I had numerous connections to 9:13, including a 9:13 shown here in iPetGoat 2. A equals 1, B equals 2, the letter I equals 9. I, we have a 9 right here. 9, 1, 3, 1, 9. And I had connections to all different things for September 13th. It was Friday the 13th as well. I even put out a video about the most compelling evidence yet for September 13th. Yet, nothing really happened. September 14th, something happened in Saudi Arabia, the bombing of the oil fields. But the real date this year was September 13th on the Hebrew calendar, the big blackout in South America. Although I think this is multi-layered, this 9/13 could be 3/19, could be the 319th day of the year. It could be many different things. But we already seen a big event related to 9/13, and I didn't even realize it. And we have one more 9/13 this year, which is December 11th. That will be 9/13 on the biblical Hebrew calendar. So that's what sometimes makes it hard to figure out. I think there might be a marker point for a specific date, but then the date is on a calendar before that or after that. For instance, I showed this before, so I wanted to go back and look at 9/11 because that was 6/23 in the Hebrew calendar. Then when you look at the founding of the Georgia Guidestones, which is a very important marker point, I think, that was 1,109 weeks, 9/11 backwards to 6/23. But 6/23 in the Hebrew calendar was 9/11. So it wasn't this date, but it was another on a different calendar. So I think that's one way of them hiding the event, so make it harder for people to figure things out. But I was successful on a few blackout predictions this year. So one specific one in Hawaii and two other ones on various dates in July. So, but now looking more at 11/3 and the Northeast blackout of 1965, that was the second worst blackout in the United States. And that was on November 9th, 1965. So when you input November 9th, which is 9/11 backwards, so that's 19,717 days. Is the 2,232nd prime, which is a 3-2-2 connection, the number of skull and bones, 1, 3, and multiple 2s. So we have a connection for that. So the second worst blackout of all time in the U.S. I think that's all I got for tomorrow, but since it's still November 2nd, and I talked about something the other day, I made a possible prediction in Phoenix. Nothing happened based on a past event. I wanted to see if it duplicated something to do with the NFL. And I mentioned the Joker for something to happen on October 31st. But when I look at the death date of Heath Ledger on January 22nd, 2008, to today, well, it's 11 years, 9 months, and 11 days. And today leaves 59 days remaining in the year, and Joker equals 59. So I thought that was an interesting connection for today. I wanted to throw in there. So I guess that's about it. I'll talk to you next time.